All right, we are doing long division, no remainders, 3 by 1 digit. So we are going to start on the first one, again, using partial quotients. The first thing we're going to want to do is underline the 2. How many times can 2 go into 2? I know 2 times 1 is 2, so I'm going to put my 1 on the side. 2 times 1 is 2. Add 2 zeros here and 2 there. The next step is to subtract. 6 minus 0 is 6. 4 minus 0 is 4. 2 minus 2 is 0. Next thing, again, underline. How many times can 2 go into 4? I know that 2 times 2 is going to get me 4. Add a 0 here, add a 0 there, and subtract. 6 minus 0 is 6. 4 minus 4 is 0. Underline again. 2 times what gives me 6? 2 times 3 gives me 6, and subtract, and we get 0 left over. Let's add up the partial quotients. 100 plus 20 plus 3 gives us 123. Moving on to the next problem. Underlining the first number, how many times can 3 go into 3? I know that 3 times 1 will give me 3. Add 2 zeros here, 2 there, and subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. 9 minus 0 is 9. And 3 minus 3 is 0. Repeat our steps. Underline the 9. How many times can 3 go into 9? I know that 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Add a 0 here. Add a 0 there. Subtract, and we get 0. Add up the partial quotients. 100 plus 30 is 130. Moving across, put our line down, underline the first number. How many times can 4 go into 9? I know that 4 times 2 gives me 8, so I'm going to put my 2 on the side. 4 times 2 is 8. Add 2 zeros here, 2 zeros there. Next step is to subtract. 6 minus 0 is 6. 3 minus 0 is 3. And 9 minus 8 is 1. Repeat our steps. Underline. 4 can't go into 1, so we underline 13. 4 times what can give me close to 13 without going over? I know that 4 times 3 can get me 12, so I'm going to put my 3 on the side. 4 times 3 is 12. Add a 0 here, add a 0 there. Subtract. 6 minus 0 is 6. 3 minus 2 is 1. Same steps. 4 can't go into 1, so I'm going to underline both numbers. 4 times what can give me 16? 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Subtract, and we get 0, so we don't have a remainder. Add up the partial quotients on the side. 200 plus 30 plus 4 is 234. Moving on to number 2. I'm going to draw my line down and underline the first number. How many times can 2 go into 4? I know that 2 times 2 is 4, so I'm going to put my 2 on the side. 2 times 2 is 4. Add 2 zeros here and 2 there. Subtract. 2 minus 0 is 2. 0 minus 0 is 0. And 4 minus 4 is 0. So, again, underline. How many times can 2 go into 2? Once. So put your 1 over here. 2 times 1 is 2. Subtract 0, so we don't have a remainder. If we add up the partial quotients, we get 201. I'm going to keep my answer down here since I ran out of space. Draw our line down and underline the 9. Remember, our steps go underline, multiply, and then subtract. So how many times can 3 go into 9? I know that 3 times 3 is 9, so I'll put my 3 on the side. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 zeros here, 2 there, and subtract. Next, I'm going to underline the 4. How many times can 3 go into 4? Just once. So I put my 1 over here. 3 times 1 is 3. Add a 0 here, add a 0 there, and subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. 4 minus 3 is 1. Next thing I do, underline the 1. I know that 3 can't go into 1, so I have to underline both numbers. 3 times what can give me 15? I know that 3 times 5 can give me 15. Subtract, and I get 0 left over. Add up the partial quotients. 300 plus 10 plus 5 is 315. Moving on to number 10, I'm going to draw my line down and underline the first number. How many times can 5 go into 7? I know that 5 times 1 will give me 5. Add 2 zeros here and 2 there. Subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. 7 minus 0 is 7. And 7 minus 5 is 2. Next thing I need to do, underline the 2. 5 can't go into 2, so I'm going to underline 27. 5 times what can give me close to 27? I know that 5 times 5 can give me 25, so I'm going to put the 25 under here. Add a 0, and subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. 7 minus 5 is 2, and 2 minus 2 is 0. Last step, again, underlining the 2. 5 can't go into 2, so we underline the 20. 5 times what can give me 20? 5 times 4 can give me 20. Subtract, and I get 0 as the remainder. So I add up my partial quotients, and I get 100 plus 50 plus 4 gives me 154.